I'd like to talk to you about something a little bit serious. It's something a little bit different than what I'm usually my happy-go-lucky videos for Minecraft at least. But I'd like to take a moment and share some some thoughts and some ideas that normally uh, will not um, usually uh, happen. Um, this is my something a little bit different series. I may transition if I find that I'm doing certain topics more than others, and start making videos geared towards that as well as my streams. But today, March the 3rd, or April the 3rd, sorry, 2017, day after one of the biggest sporting events in a while. If you're a WWE fan, um, it, it's twice as big as the Super Bowl. I don't care who you are. The Super Bowl only reaches uh, millions uh, of the people in the United States. People outside the United States, they could care less about our Super Bowl. WrestleMania is that culmination of events. It's worldwide. You can't describe what WrestleMania means to the rest of the world. You just can't describe what it means to the rest of the world. It's a worldwide phenomenon. I mean, Vince McMahon grew a company from a small egg, from what his daddy had. Um, he was estranged from his dad for so many years, and then all of a sudden, bam, he got word from his dad to start working in his promotion. Back when it was the WWF. Yes, there's an extra W involved. Um, with that said, uh, that that culmination, uh, well, Vince took the model of his daddy's company, and behind his dad's back bought every other company out of existence from the wrestling alliance. That was back at the time where everybody had their territory and they should stay off of everybody else's turf. And they were allowed to trade guys back and forth based on um, uh, kind of like how the NFL does with their team players, like, or the NBA for that matter, where there was a central hub, which was the National Wrestling Alliance, that basically had complete control over where things went and pay-per-views and so on and so forth, events and that sort of thing. Well, Vince really kind of took that model and not only ran with it but squashed that model, and said he wanted to build a broader brander WWE experience. Back before it was the WWE, it was the WWF. Vince decided too many W's, dropped off one of the W's. There you go. He brought that company into uh, a broader uh, to a broader audience by uh, to a big broader audience, and kind of made whereas the territories were like you got your local group A and your local group B. They stayed off their territory. They stayed off each other's turf. Where if you're in Nebraska, for instance, you'd have a Nebraskan uh, wrestling thing, and you can only watch them. Whereas Vince decided he would take the company and um, shift it so that more and more people would be able to see um, the to see crap. Hold on one second. Remove. Yes. So more and more people would be able to see the brand. Like, nuts. Uh, well, that's kind of weird. Okay, but he would take the company in a uh, direction um, that nobody had seen before. Before it was like your local like mid southwest whatever. If you're in that area, you would only know about that type of wrestling and that brand or that those core group of guys. Whereas the WWE, back when it was the WWF, kind of bought and sold a lot of, or mostly bought their assets from struggling promotions that were losing, hemorrhaging money because they couldn't get the right kind of talent. They weren't. They didn't get the right kind of audience. They only had their core group of audience, and things just they weren't working for those companies. So Vince decided he'd jump in and say, "Hey, I'll buy your promotion. I'll hire you guys if you want to work for my company." Hold on. That's what I wanted. Okay, so in later years, the WWE was branded as the PG era to the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era was a bunch of gimmicky, hokey. Um, it did launch the careers of uh, uh, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Hogan, and a few other. Not Hogan. Sorry, dang it. Why am I thinking that? Launched the careers of The Rock, Triple H, uh, Shawn Michaels, all these other guys got pretty much elevated because of what they were allowed and not allowed to do, which was mostly they were allowed to do whatever they wanted to get the fans over. They were in a ratings war with WCW at the time, and yeah, as you know, if you're interested or if you know the history behind it, you know that the WWE out won that debate by having more innovative match types, more at the time they were competing against WCW's NWO, which was the same rehash storyline for way far too long, and they just they hashed that way basically to the ground, um, and had hokey characters. Come on, some of the characters that were in the WCW made bigger names in the WWE, um, or didn't make it at all because the business model of the WCW didn't fit the business model of the WWE at the time. WWE was like this in-your-face kind of thing when they were in the Attitude Era, but once they started getting into the PG era, they kind of had to shift their focus into this broader company. They had to toe company lines for their for their investors, and for the channel itself, the channel that they were on, USA Network or TNN at the time, which they kind of switched, TNN, Turner something, whatever. Anyway, long story short, they switched over to USA Network and had to go back to their PG format, um, for to well, not only because they wanted to get a different image, they wanted to rebrand themselves as this family friendly show. Because back in the Attitude Era, everyone was going, "Oh no, they're too bloody, they're too this, they're too that. We can't allow our kids to watch it." People were turned off. A lot. Some of the people were turned off by the product itself back in the Attitude Era, and then there was the loyalists who were like, "Yeah, WWE was like blood, tits, and ass," you know. But some things in the WWE just didn't click. Too many very talented women being wasted in the Attitude Era with pillow fight matches or bra and panty matches, which King seemed to like, or was forced to be on that level, um, because that was the company business model back then. WWE came around and said, PG era. They kind of struggled around with the PG era for a while, and and NXT, they decided to move their developmentals into an in-house developmental system, which was the NXT. NXT uh, not farmed out, but grew the guys like AJ. I was going to say AJ Styles, but he never made it to that level. Guys like Samoa Joe, Finn Balor. Finn Balor's been in there pretty much. He got injured after his first week of being in the first few days of being on the main, first few weeks of being on the main roster, which is sad. You got Sami Zayn came out of that developmental. Seth Rollins, the Shield, although they're really squandering Dean Ambrose, and they squandered Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns for a while. They're floundering, trying to bring something with Dean Ambrose. But Dean Ambrose was a great character. He was funny. He was over with the fans, and then they killed him. It is basically what happened. And it comes full circle. WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania, that first pay-per-view, was really the first time pay-per-view was utilized in that manner. Before it was like closed caption or closed circuit TV, where you had to be in the same area where the pay-per-view was going on. But Vince knew how to not monopolize, but to use satellites to broadcast globally. First, it was just like the United States, and then it further branched out to different marketplaces from around the world. But that first one really cemented that whole branding of the WWF at the time, when they were actually the WWF. That the bigger is better mantra, the glitz, the glamour, the pageantry of it all, and then comes down. There are some pretty horrible WrestleMania pay-per-views. In my opinion, last year's pay-per-view, WrestleMania 32, yeah, that was one of them. That wasn't as good as it could be. now it brings me back to WrestleMania 33. 33, oh my gosh. Um, WrestleMania 33. Um, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but oh my god, WrestleMania 33. If you're a fan of certain wrestlers that are on there, that don't seem to want to quit due to their age and health conditions, um, I will do a summary of what went on. Um, let me pull up a summary here. Hold on. Connected. Connected. Oh, sorry, that was me. Hold on one second. WWE. Da 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 da. Marie. Do. Okay. Okay. Ah. Okay. Here's the recap from the night. Let me go down to. Let me find out where the. Okay. I'm not going to spoil what went on during the match, but I will um, give you a modified little recap here. We got the first match of the night, which was on the pre-show on the USA Network or the WWE Network. If you were watching the WWE Network, they gave the pre-show for free to get people to buy into it. Interesting side note: Drew McIntyre is there's rumors surrounding he's maybe signing with the WWE. He was at a Saturday's NXT Takeover, which was oh my god amazing. If you haven't seen it, I recommend watching it. Shinsuke Nakamura's match with Bobby Roode was amazing. Few of the Divas matches, I'm an old school guy. Sorry. Women's matches were amazing. Asuka's match with Ember Moon was amazing. Back onto the WrestleMania. Sorry for the sidetrack. Neville and Austin Aries were the first match. Oh my gosh. It was a lot of brutality, and Neville came out on top. If you want to see how that all ended, that all got done. It was actually a pretty good match, but Neville came out on top on that one. Next match was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Sorry. A lot of guys that you would think. There was that guy from Sanity, the big furry bear dude. I can never remember his name. If you can remember his name, put it in the comments. The Sanity with Eric Young. I think that was Sanity. Was it Sanity? No, it was somebody. I don't know. Anyway, but Bill Bear, fluffy bear dude from NXT, I was expecting him to be put over, but just having him in the match was next level. It came down to Rob Gorgowski or whatever jumping in the ring. If anybody knows who he is, He did like a football tackle to somebody, like a shoulder block type maneuver. Very, very poorly executed, in my opinion. Um, Whoever it was that took that bump hit his head. It was uh, Hassan, not Hassan, the Arab dude, the guy that plays the peaceful Arab dude. The guy, yeah, Ahmed. Ah- Ahmed? I think Ahmed the dead terrorist. No, but anyway, he was in the match with Rob, and they did the bump in the ring. He didn't take any bumps in the ring, but yeah. And then Mojo basically was all like, I'm hyped, you're hyped," and then he got out of the ring, and then Mojo finished it for the win on that. A lot of guys that could have made it. The fact that Mojo got in there and took it home was something that that was the way they did it um, was not the best execution of it, but the fact that it was kind of a throwaway. But the fact that Mojo finally won something on that level uh, was interesting. Just but the fact that they had that celebrity Hope Mojo win, it's not all that. It was not all that great. Was not all that great. The night still went on. There was the Intercontinental Championship match with Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin. The lead up to this match was poorly executed. It was poor by any standards that I would have, you know. It was poor in the fact that that it didn't have any substance. Baron Corbin, uh, I have issues with Baron Corbin on two levels. I know there's people out there that say yay Baron Corbin, but I have issues with Baron Corbin because he doesn't feel like the real like I'm gonna knock your head off type. He feels like he's not even trying to knock that he wants to knock your head off. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna knock your head off, woohoo! And then he does something, and then he's forgotten about the next night. Um, the same with this Intercontinental match. It was basically a throwaway where Dean Ambrose comes out the victor in this one in 10 minutes and 54 seconds. He won by a pinfall by all means. There was no submission. I don't even think Dean Ambrose has a finisher um, of his own. Um, then you got AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. That was just amazing. Um, uh, let me read the recap that they got here. For many of the questions we had we had going into WrestleMania 33, one of the most debated was who would feature as the first match on the WrestleMania card, especially Dean Ambrose and especially after Dean Ambrose and Corbin, which was the odds-on favorite to bat lead off, was moved to the kickoff show. Of course, it was moved to the kickoff show. I think that it should have been on the kickoff show. It wasn't WrestleMania. It didn't feel like that WrestleMania feel. I'm sorry, Baron Corbin, but I just didn't see it. Dean Ambrose has been pushed further down the card. Like he's a pinball. Like when they want something to for him to be like, "Oh, I'm psycho and I'm a lunatic and I could da da da." He needs more people that can lift up and elevate his character to push him in the right direction. Dean Ambrose is sitting on borrowed time. He's not doing much with his character. Neither is Baron Corbin to sway my opinion either way. I mean, I used to when he was hot, when Dean Ambrose was hot, he was hot, and I liked it. Now he's just like, what? um, Perhaps it would be a mixed tag, a match featuring John Cena and The Miz. The SmackDown Live Women Free for All for the title. Nope. No and no. The answer is AJ Styles and Shane McMahon, the widely considered WWE most valuable player from the past year and the ultimate stuntman. Clearly, the WWE creative wanted to make sure that there was no lack of energy to kick off the biggest show, and it was. It was a very, very. There were some high spots, such as the Coast to Coast, where AJ Styles brought out the trash can. He actually brought out two trash cans. I wonder why. You would think you'd only need one trash can for this one, but he brought out one trash can, set it up like Shane McMahon's Coast to Coast, and AJ Styles, and set up Shane down in the, knocked him down against the turnbuckle there, like you would normally do, with the face against the trash can, propped up against the kind of wedged between the rope there, and there was a lot of back and forth going there before that happened. But when that happened, Shane McMahon countered it, smashing the trash can back at AJ Styles, and he was doing his jump from the rope to kind of mock. At one point, there was a botched attempt for the I don't know if it was botched, but it looked very. He only got one arm in AJ Styles' finisher, and it was an amazing match. They were back and forth. There was a lot of energy on that match. Both guys looked like either one of them could pull out a victory, but in the end, AJ Styles pulled out the victory. Spoiler alerts if anybody doesn't want to know anymore. But that's what happened. If you're going to watch the network, even if you hear what's going on, you need to see it for yourself. It's an amazing move. It's an amazing. And that match lasted 20 minutes. 20 minutes and 9 seconds. And AJ pulled out via pinfall, and it was great. It was the capping off of the night to start the match, to start the pay-per-view. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. It was a lot of like, you stupid idiots, weird camera angles that showed a lot of Jericho's butt. That kind of turned me off of that match a little bit. But all in all, it was a great match. Jericho got defeated in 16-20. I hear that rumor mill states that Jericho's going on tour with his band, so that he won't be have very many appearances left to go. So if he won anything at that point, it wouldn't have mattered. It would just have been a throwaway for Owens at that point. I'm glad they did it the way they did it. It was an epic match of them trying to one up each other, and the Walls of Jericho put on at the end. It was amazing, and it was a Walls of Jericho by Owens himself. That was amazing. The next match on the card was the Raw Women's Champion Fatal 4 Elimination match with Bayley, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax. So it went. Basically, Nia Jax was the first one taken out. And at one point, Flair decided to get out of the ring. Charlotte decided to get out of the ring, and she said, fight amongst yourselves to get the two friends to fight amongst each other to get animosity or some sort of heat on those two while she's ducked out of the ring for a little while. She got back in the ring after deciding that those two weren't going to really get the job done or help her in any way, shape, or form. So she decided. Yeah. The way that Nia Jax was eliminated was hilarious. It took all the Raw women, the three other women in the match, to basically dogpile on top of her to pinfall elimination for her. Sasha Banks and Charlotte and Bayley they took their sweet time, but it all meant something in the end. Bayley came out the victor, and you need to see that match. You still got time. It's going to be on the network for years to come. And it was a 12-minute and 8-second match. It was a grueling match, and it was a 4.0 on the ratings. I mean, it was a grueling match, and Bayley came out on top. For years, for not just years, but for months and months, Charlotte has been downplaying and minimizing Bayley's accomplishments throughout trying to be the biggest freaking heel possible, and it came together right there on the main stage of WrestleMania 33, and I'm happy for Bayley. You know, the underdog finally won. The underdog from the underground. That's Sami Zayn's reference. There was a tag match, and before the tag team elimination match started, the New Day came out and said, since we're the host of the WrestleMania match, and everyone, including myself, was thinking they would insert themselves in the match. Nope, I'm not going to give it away, but somebody got inserted into that match. Somebody got inserted into that match, and it wasn't the New Day. Now, you could go spoil it for yourself and watch and look at Twitter, but the match was amazing, and the two that won are going to be talked about on tonight's Raw. And you thought the Kurt Angle Hall of Fame ceremony was amazing. WrestleMania doubled that. Kurt Angle's return at WrestleMania, or not WrestleMania, at the Hall of Fame ceremony was awesome. It was a thing of beauty when these two came out of nowhere. You didn't expect they would. Rumors happened. Right here, they gave the match a 3.75. I think the match was a perfect score. The way these two came out and just stole the show. The next match was Nikki Bella and John Cena defeating Miz and Maurice via a double pin. They both did the 5-knuckle shuffle down to a pin. down to a double pin, and the ref did a double count out with both his arms wailing in the air. It was funny. Um, but all in all, that was a great match. It ended up in a surprise at the end. John Cena did something Macho Man style in the ring, Macho Man Elizabeth style, like proposal. Not really like that per se, but he got his own spin on it, and it made it work. It was great. It was great. Um, Seth Rollins match with Triple H. Triple H came out in like a tricycle, tri motorcycle with the three wheels, one in the front, two in the back, like a big old badass, like I'm the king. Nobody could stop me. And he came out with a motorcycle, police, front and back. Um, in that match, it lasted 25-30, 25 minutes and 30 seconds on that. It was an amazing, amazing match. Uh, Seth Rollins came out and did with a torch and slammed it into the ground, and his wave of fire came out, and fire pyrotechnics came out from when the whole screen at the very end, when the fire got all the way to the end, all pyrotechnics came out. Like it was amazing, and the match was brutal. At one point, Triple H decided to pick up a hammer after Seth Rollins was grabbing at straws from under the ring, basically, to grab anything he could to get to break Triple H down, and he inadvertently grabbed the sledgehammer and pulled it out from under the ring. Triple H saw that and tried to capitalize on it, but he could never actually quite capitalize on it. A few times he picked it up, but in the end, Seth Rollins became a victor, and the way the finishing happened was brilliant, and it will be talked about hopefully will be talked about on Monday night. It was amazing. It was amazing. And if you haven't seen it, watch the network. I'm not going to spoil the finisher on that one, but it was amazing. Brock Lesnar Goldberg match. Oh wait, before that, that was the Randy Orton defeating Bray Wyatt for the WWE Championship, the SmackDown Championship. In 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Bray Wyatt did some really cool, it was some pretty cool effects with the inserting an image onto the mat via projection was pretty cool. And it ramped up from, first one was maggots, second one was worms, but it happened. It's storyline, and every time we did this weird like maneuver, when he bends backwards and looks at you from upside down, and it's that creepy look that Bray Wyatt always pulls off. It went to that image, an image, and it got creepier and creepier and creepier. And it just got massively creepy and that stuff. And I'm not going to tell you how it went down, but all I could say is Randy Orton is victor, and Monday night, which is tonight, you should be able to see what went down. Brock Lesnar got defeated Goldberg to win the Universal Champion. We know that was going to happen. Because I don't think, yeah. And there was an Elmsworth moment that happened with Naomi coming out the victor in her match against Carmella, Natalya, Mickie James, Becky Lynch to win her Women's SmackDown Championship. Um, this kind of cements um, her first win when she had to relinquish it because of an injury or something. I don't know what the case may be, but whatever the case is, that's what happened. She relinquished it and basically legitimized it by winning at WrestleMania. Um, and then the last match of the night was Roman Reigns versus Undertaker. Now, I'm not spoiling any of this, but just saying, the big man came out on top. Not saying that he won or lost, just saying the big man came out on top, and the dead man still came out the way he should, or went out the way the match should have ended. Um, the good news about this, there was an appearance from JR. An appearance from JR. JR was on commentary the whole night, and I wish he would have had more to say. I really wish he wasn't overshadowed trying that freaking Michael Cole was overshadowing that whole entire thing, and there should have been more, but there is something else I want to talk about with JR. JR recently lost his wife in a tragic motor scooter accident. God rest. You know, it's sad even to talk about. I mean, and WWE is known for when their guys they really care about go through tragic losses, like Ric Flair, for instance. They brought him back. They gave him something to do. They didn't let him sit home and dwell on it and end up hurting himself or others around him. Which he was heading that direction. Ric Flair was. Jim Ross or JR, whatever you want to call him, he's the same guy. He's the same guy. He called that Undertaker match, and all I can say is that match ended the way it began. Undertaker came up from under the ring, under the stage, with his hand held high. They had some pretty cool high spots. He actually looked better than Undertaker looked better than he has in years. Oh my gosh. He looked a little healthier. He looked like he wasn't skin and bones. He looked like he deserved the last spot. There's a few spots where the Undertaker got up on the announce table and got speared. Roman Reigns speared him, and the Undertaker looked like he was out, but he came back yelling at Roman, "This is my yard," and Roman going, "No, my yard." Back and forth, turn of events like that, kind of just, you know, and that back and forth, that back and forth attitude, back and forth, my yard. And what's cool about the WrestleMania, they had a giant ring up on top of the up on top of up on top of the scaffolding type thing where they held the lights instead of being on the ring posts themselves, the LED boards being on the wraparound LED screens being on the in years past. They had them more spread out into the crowd, and then a big old ring up top. And when Roman came out, his name was lit up on the top screen, on the top giant faux ring, where symbolizing that it's his yard. The Undertaker desperately wanted to make it his yard, but in the end, Roman Reigns prevailed on that one. And The Undertaker, I'm not spoiling it again, I said, but I am going to show you a little picture here. JR. Okay. This is something that, yes, Undertaker took off his hat, his coat, and his and his gloves, and walked to the part in the where he came up originally in this in this match, and he held his hand up high as he was lowered down, 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 the way he came up, symbolizing possibly his retirement. And that brought so much emotion to me personally, and that match was told so well. None of these matches, apart from the few that started in the pre-show, that this match hammered it home that The Undertaker's broken. Not as broken as he was in previous years, by all means. He went out the way he wanted to, healthy and happy. And Roman Reigns, the look on his face was like, oh my gosh. He was devastated that he had to put away the dead man like he had to do. He had to put away the dead man. It was what Undertaker wanted. He wanted to find somebody that he could put over in a way that made sense. This is my yard. Roman Reigns is like, my yard, my yard, my yard. And The Undertaker has been like, this is my yard. And he's been doing that ever since the just before the American Badass Undertaker started, when he was like, this is my yard. I'm the king of the yard. I'm the big dog. And now Roman Reigns is like, I'm the big dog, and he's been saying it for years. Now The Undertaker had a chance to put away to bury, so to speak, Roman Reigns' career. But instead, he decided to give Roman Reigns some pops on taking out the dead man and giving the dead man a proper burial. The dead man gimmick is hung up. It even chokes me up to say it right now, but The Undertaker's gimmick is gone. I hope they really hammer that home Monday Night Raw, on Monday Night Raw live. I hope they do. And this is The Undertaker took his final farewell, and he found somebody who he could pass the torch. Roman Reigns is the big dog taking on the dead man, who was the biggest dog in the yard. And that sums it up. This is kind of why I wanted to do something a little bit different. I don't know if I'm going to be doing more of these in the future, but if you like what you see, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll do more of these types of videos along with my gaming videos. But I didn't really wanted to do, I had so much emotion built up from so much hype built up from WrestleMania that I really wanted to share that whole story. And geez, it was amazing. If you were there in the crowd, that was awesome. If you were there watching it on the network like I was, that was awesome. I mean, there wasn't a bad moment in that pay per view. Even the women had great matches. Charlotte Flair can pull out a great match out of anybody, and she had a few um, high spots there. And the victor came out to Bailey, like I said earlier. But yes, that was great.